start with. My name is Joanne Smith. I asked to have this meeting at the Harford Township meeting last Tuesday night because I'm pretty concerned, as apparently the people in this room are, with the prospect of having a toxic incinerator in the area. This is an informational meeting. We're asking no animosity, be nice, say please and thank you. Anybody who has a question gets to ask it, and we'll answer it to the best of our ability. Okay, what we know so far is a parcel of land has been purchased in the New Milford area at the Gibson Exit. The problem that they're having is they can't locate the deed. So no permits have been filed as of yet. No driveway permits. DEP permits, nothing has really come to fruition. What we do know is that there are four people who are in on this project. Two local, one not, and one is the not's lawyer. There wasn't a lot of information forthcoming from Alan Hall at the New Milford meeting at the church. I guess that was 10 days or 2 weeks ago. What they want to do is have a toxic incinerator. They're going to bring in the toxins by train and then truck it to the Gibson area. What could go wrong?
Where will they bring it in by train to?
New Milford. I don't have to go into dioxins. Everybody knows what Agent Orange is.
Got it.
Sorry.
May I interrupt?
There are alternative technologies like
I would like to interrupt. I'd like to introduce Harford Township's attorney, Jamie Hailstone. He has been in touch with the attorney from Milford Township. We have all been in touch with the Milford Township supervisors, and we've been in touch with other people with this project. And he has more information than what is being said here right now, so I'm going to turn it over to...
A couple of things, and just, I was asked by the supervisors to attend the meeting tonight. There was a concern that you would leave with the impression that Harford Township, not the residents, not the supervisors individually, but the township itself somehow has made some decision to be for or against the incinerator. And I call it the incinerator. It's really in the infancy. As was noted, the property hasn't even been purchased yet, according to the solicitor for New Milford Township. My concern was that we were giving out the vibe or the message that the township was somehow siding one side or the other. The township cannot do that as a municipality, as a political element. The township residents can do everything they want to do, and the supervisors can do everything they want to do or nothing they want to do. But I think that the message that was put out to the community was that somehow Harford Township, unbeknownst really to the supervisors, and we're missing one tonight, was somehow going to take and be in charge of the adversarial to this. We have to remain neutral, the township itself. You can come to the meetings, you can talk to the supervisors, they can do everything they want in their individual capacity, but there's really nothing that you can do. It would be similar to if you wanted to build something in your out yard and someone from New Milford And New Milford Township could tell you, you can't do something in your yard. We have these borders, these imaginary borders, if you will. This is Harford Township, that's New Milford Township. There's really nothing that the township as an entity can do to affect the politics of New Milford Township. And my concern was that you would come away tonight thinking that somehow the supervisors have voted or made some kind of a decision that Harford Township was going to be against this. That could get us sued. That's always my concern, that if this thing is coming in and we're doing something illegal or we're trying to do something as a political entity, as the municipality, we could get ourselves in trouble. Like I said, anyone is against it or for it you do what your conscience tells you to do. What I have to maintain is that the supervisors remember and treat, and they do, the political municipality, the political element, as something different. It's a corporate entity unto itself. And so that was why I was invited up. It's great to see all these people out. This is engagement. This is what people should be doing. I brought my sons tonight so they could see people actually expressing their opinions and going out and doing what they should be doing. But I just want to make it clear that the Harford Township is not endorsing the event. My understanding was this was going to be informational. It's only anti, so I really have to be very clear that if it was a clearly informational, we had people on both sides who were going to present information, I'd be more comfortable. But if it's only one side, if it was a completely pro-incinerator meeting, I'd be the same way. I'd be telling you the same thing. We can be a sponsor of events where all the views are aired, but the township is not going to take a position on one side or the other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I want to make one point before it goes any farther, and it was brought to my attention, and I fully agree with it. If someone, regardless of the side, is going to make claims or state facts, where's the documentation behind these facts? I'm just saying the facts, it says fact, this, but where's the source? And you have to have documentation. Anybody can say one thing or the other. I believe that most of it, because I want to believe that this is true. But you need the documentation to support the claim going forward.
Okay, so at the New Milford Church meeting, what they had to say was get the word out to the local people. Because this is how something like this can be avoided. This is not pro, this is not anti, this is just getting the information out to the people in the area who did not know that this may proceed. There have been facilities stopped. 1993 in Clarion, 1994 in Adelwood, 1994 in Lancaster, 2014 in Berks. What the people in New Milford were saying is the voice of the people can put a stop to a toxic incinerator. PA is #1 in municipal solid waste, #3 in toxic Superfund sites, #4 in hazardous waste imports, and #4 in industrial air pollution. Susquehanna County has basically no air pollution. We don't have it. So that's the heart of it, is to help the people in New Milford. Because it is their township, it's their borough, it's their area. Ordinances have to be passed. That's the legal aspect of it. New Milford needs our support.
Hi, I'm a resident of Gibson. My name is Ruth Ralston. I've been attending the meetings. What's happening is that we need something to help us. We all need to work together. And there's a thing called the New Milford Clean Air Act ordinance. And it's an ordinance that can be passed by the residents of New Milford. And it's a start. because it will prevent certain industries from being able to come in. So those of you who are living in New Milford Township, it's called the New Milford Clean Air Ordinance. And if it was passed, it would prevent something like we see on these papers from coming in. Now, how does this help other people? Well, other townships could pass the same kind of ordinances. So you don't have to fight against it. So there is a way, and we can all work together, and I know this is information, but that ordinance has already been drawn up. It's in their possession, and we the people just need to get together and encourage them, give them our support, and let them pass the New Milford Clean Air Ordinance to prevent this from coming in, and other townships can follow.
How can we get this pushed through quicker? What would we have to do?
Well, that is the question. But I'm giving you, it's an information, it's an information session, and that's what we have. It's in their possession. It's in their possession.
Maybe the lawyer
I-
can tell us what's.
It's in their possession,
Of the supervisors.
correct. Yes, it's in their possession. It's called the New Milford Clean Air Ordinance.
Since somebody's paying attention to my hand, I'd like to say something over here.
Yes, sir.
First of all, most of you in here know me. For those of you who don't, my name is Chad Batesel. Look me up on Facebook.
Thank you.
Already got in trouble this week. I don't really care. I'm gonna say what I have to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. Point of this meeting is information, correct?
Correct.
Then how come we are 20 minutes into said meeting, and all we've heard is all the bad stuff about why we shouldn't do it, instead of hearing overall the truths and facts? Not saying that I disagree with supporting the Milford Township, but you've given us nothing but a list of reasons why they shouldn't do that, why we should support that it's automatically shut down, and not give everybody the opportunity to hear the overall facts.
Well, it is
That's
only.
what got me in trouble before, and I'm gonna say it again now.
Okay.
Because the problem with these groups, such as this Facebook group, is they come into the meetings,
May I-
they jam all this information down everybody's throat, and
May
they
I
don't let the
interject
people hear
here?
the whole picture.
May I interject, please?
Sure.
Thank you. This is not Facebook. This is an informational hearing for the people.
Exactly.
For the
We're only getting
people.
one side of the information.
For the people of Harford to get an idea of exactly what's going on. We know that there's a proposed incinerator. We know that there's an ordinance in the working. That's the information we have so far.
Still
If
against my
somebody is pro incinerator, that's fine.
Whether I'm pro or against, in all honesty, I haven't decided yet. You know
Okay.
why? Because I came to this meeting to get all the information that we're not getting. I'd like
Well,
to get to that point.
okay. Thank you.
You have people sitting at the front of the room who are ready to talk. If you wouldn't talk, they could talk. Maybe you'd get the information you were listening for.
Yeah, we don't do
Well,
that.
you haven't given them a chance to speak, have
Do
you?
you have a specific question to ask?
Chad,
Yeah, we're
Chad,
gonna get to both sides,
Yeah.
it's just your side.
I'll tell you, okay? I talked to Doug. Doug talked to people. Doug said he had answers. It's not, Doug got sick, Doug got whatever. He's the one that was telling me the good parts, all right? So if he didn't pass that on to someone else, whose fault is that?
We're not here for fault.
No, but I'm saying, you want both sides, he had it, or he told me he had it, all right? And he's not here. Okay, I'm sorry he's not
I
here.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Hugh?
What you want to hear, I guess, is the pros of an
I
incinerator.
wanna hear the whole thing, I wanna hear everything, so.
Okay,
that
so far as
myself
I
and
can-
the other individuals in the room that haven't gotten the whole thing can make an informed decision based on everything, not just one side.
Well, I'll tell you what I've heard so far, that the Tyler Corners Investment Group was formed earlier this year with the sole purpose of building an incinerator on the proposed site to burn hazardous industrial waste. And that along with it, they would like to also develop part of this as an industrial park to provide jobs and income, mostly for themselves, but for whoever is hired locally to work in small factories and to run this incinerator. Now, the question could be, what is good about an incinerator? It destroys hazardous industrial waste. It takes this and supposedly burns it at very high temperatures and then runs the same waste stream through a secondary chamber where they heat it to 1800 degrees centigrade, which is pretty close to, I believe, 2400 Fahrenheit, which supposedly takes the molecules of the hazardous material and breaks them down into very fine parts, random molecules of who knows what. And along with that are created, they refer to it here as ultrafine particles, nanoparticles, that are so small they pass through a HEPA filter, which captures germs and viruses with no trouble at all. It's like that filter wasn't there at all. Then they run it up the stack, and they supposedly now will use fog nozzles to create a fog and mist in the air and wash down all of the nanoparticles and other molecules that would escape, and they say they're just gonna put steam out. Well, that's a not completely effective method of scrubbing your emissions, and there's a lot that does escape into the atmosphere where it spreads out and falls out into the countryside around. Now, some of the materials they're burning are extremely deadly. There's going to be things like phenol and dioxin gets in there, and the active ingredient in dioxin that is so deadly is 2,4-D. And when that gets into acid soil, which we have here in northern Pennsylvania, it turns to 2,4-dichlorophenol. And phenol is a very deadly chemical. 10 square inches of your skin covered with phenol is enough to kill you, and rather quickly too. I saw a photograph of a guy that worked in an industrial plant where they used phenol, and he got some splashed on his skin. And the first aid people, not knowing how to handle it, tried to wash him down with alcohol. The picture I saw was a morgue photograph. So now you've got this machine that they make claims that it is so efficient and so safe, but we've got proof from studies done, and I heard a lot of this information from Dr. Paul Connett, who has been a study, he has done studies of incinerators over the years in the past, and his conclusion is they're bad news. They shouldn't be running. Now, they inspect them once a year, and in that once a year, they get 3 weeks' notice that the inspectors are coming, so they can go in there and they can fine tune and they can tweak and adjust and make sure that they meet the specs on that one day. The rest of the year, they can do pretty much whatever they want, and they do. So this is why so many of us are so dead set against them, from past experience and scientific knowledge that is passed on to us. And we can probably get you references for these. In fact, we'll try to get you in touch with Paul Connett by way of maybe inviting him to a meeting. I think he's already scheduled for August 15th.
Yeah,
15th or 16th?
16.
16th.
Of August,
And where is it?
at the Blue Ridge High School.
High School.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
sir,
the-
also, not to interrupt, but there's a website here, and sometimes, you know when you go to the doctor and he says, "Dee, your best," what does he say? He said to me, "Your best thing is information, read it on, read up on it." So if you go Google like chemical waste incinerators, and just look at it, just look at the information, just see what's there.
I've done a lot of research in
Yeah.
the last few weeks,
So then-
and I understand, you know, with toxins, the chemical, I really do. And I'm not, I apologize if I was overly pushy, and I'm not trying to say that we, like myself individually, but I don't want to try to support New Milford Township and prevent this from coming. Well, my point is, the problem with earlier,
Yes.
before this meeting even happened,
Yeah.
is this meeting was set up to be an information meeting,
Right.
and it turned into 101 reasons why it shouldn't be here.
Right.
Instead of getting all the information.
Right, well, just like I think, anytime like you know, it's like before you buy a house, you gotta do research. Before you get a loan, you gotta do research. It's like anything else. So I would strongly suggest that anybody in the room do research. But the whole thing we're bringing up is that, one of the ways, if you do your research, and you find out that you don't like it, then you gotta find out ways to, you know, to do something about it. And like I said, there's an ordinance that could be passed in the Milford, they have it, and, you know, what affects one township affects everybody. You know, when you do one things like the rollerball effect, it affects everybody. So that's the whole, the domino effect, thank you, ma'am. So that's the whole thing. Because, see, this little thing here is not just a one township issue. It's a lot of people's issue.
Right.
And I think that's something that has to be spread out. That's all I got to say. Thank you, sir.
Let me ask you, do you hunt?
Do I hunt? Yes.
Are you a hunter? Okay. And you eat the venison that you harvest? Okay. Please understand that the deer that you harvest may very well be bearing a load of 2,4-D or mercury or cadmium that's been emitted from this plant, and you get the benefit of it.
Excuse me, they already are.
Okay,
Yes,
Go ahead.
but with the plant, if they start burning this stuff, it's gonna be that much greater.
All right, I agree.
Hi, I'm reading your fact here that says, there have been no commercial trash incinerators since 1997. There were 188, and today there are 80. So what are they doing with the commercial waste then? What are they doing?
okay, Sue, do you know who printed this up? The fact sheet?
Jake Rosen.
Okay, can you address that?
Yes, most of it is being recycled. The growth of, the death of the incinerator industry proceeds along with the growth of the recycling industry.
So how are dangerous toxins like what he's describing being recycled? I don't understand.
The dangerous toxins emerge from the burning of the material. If the material isn't burned, those toxins don't appear. They don't get created. The ultrafine particles don't get created. Recycling is an environmentally safe way of getting rid of garbage. Incineration is a dangerous way of getting rid of garbage. In Canada, incineration is banned throughout the whole country. And in America, it's a dying industry, not a growing industry. It's only proposed to be grown in Susquehanna County.
But don't they have to meet state and federal guidelines? I know you said they were coming once a year.
There are no guidelines for ultrafine particles,
Okay, so
because
that's
there's
the
no
way-
way to measure them.
Now, I'll throw something, I have multiplied particle counters. I have one at the EPA is going to use. If you want to get a hold of it, or find out what I know, talk to me about it. There's no regulations for it. The smaller particles are more dangerous. Ultrafines under 1 micron. They're doing that, they only have regulations for 2.5, 2.5 times the size. But they don't go to 1.
Yes.
It's my understanding that molecules of matter cannot be destroyed. You just change the form. So this stuff will come in as solid stuff or whatever, and then they burn it, and what you have left is ash, and then gases will go up, and the gases come out. Then they have to deal something with the ashes. So it just turns it from one problem to another. So my concern is, it's a problem with this waste, but they're moving it over now to be our problem. You know, they need to deal with the problem where they create the problem is what we have to start doing. And if you can't get rid of it, then you have to manufacture it a different way, not move it on over to Susquehanna County. That's my fear, but that's just going to turn this stuff into gas and ashes.
And what about the wastewater? Where's that gonna go? There's gotta be molecules and stuff in the water.
Speak up, please, I can't hear you. Good comment, thank you.
Her question was, what about the wastewater? And I defer to Hugh. I think Hugh knows a little bit more about the operation of the
Water that had been used to scrub stack emissions now becomes a hazardous waste, and they have to deal with that somehow. What are they gonna do, reburn it?
No.
No, they're gonna look for a place to put it.
9 partners,
I'm sorry,
Right into our little.
right into 9 partners.
right?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Glenn Strickler. I live right here in Harford Township. And I'd like to know, has anybody from Harford Township either contacted or talked to other townships surrounding New Milford? Because I'm getting the impression, oh, you don't live in New Milford, so this isn't going to have an adverse effect.
No,
on
no,
you.
the New Milford people asked us to spread the word. This was the fastest we could get a meeting together. And I asked for it to happen because my heart went out to the people in New Milford who wanted us to let Gibson know, South Gibson, Clifford, all the surrounding areas. So that's the information we're trying to get across. Not that it's going to be
I'd like to add something that this gentleman over here mentioned about the efficiency of how well it burns and everything when they burn the trash in the incinerator. Now, is there a guarantee on medical waste being burned in there that it's gone? I don't want to know. I want to know it's stopped. I don't even want to take the chance. You have a dairy farm right back of us, right? He sells milk every day. Would you want to take a chance and drink that milk? I don't know. And I know that farmer. He's a real good friend of mine. But this is just what's going on in the county. And as far as the roads, yeah, I see tractor trailers coming down Harford Road almost every day because they made a wrong turn or the GPS sent them somewhere. And that waste is going to be coming in on those trucks. I don't want it in front of my property.
Well, it is proposed for the Gibson Exit off 81.
Well, that's all
Does
well
that
and
make
good.
you sleep better?
But I'm going to tell you something. I don't know how many times during the winter I had to get my tractor out of the garage and go down and pull people off Oliver Road because they got stuck in the snow. There was 2 girls there, I think it was last year. They burnt their transmission up and they set their car on fire by trying to get out of there, and they just walked away and left the car there. And they had to have people come back and get them in the morning. And they knock on my door at 3:30 in the morning, "Sir, can you help me?" And my neighbor and I get up and go out there, and yeah, we try to pull them up off the road with the tractor. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. But if the trucks get stuck down there, because they come there too, that GPS system does not work from the Flying J.
That's right, good man, thank you.
You, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
The primary impact zone for nanoparticles is a 50-mile radius from the stack?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
What happens when the wind
Quite right.
blows?
Yeah,
What happens when the wind blows?
360 degrees.
Nanoparticles have been found in the subarctic. They don't just stop at 50 miles. They know
I
no,
understand.
they know no boundaries. They know nothing about BBB, which is your blood-brain barrier to your brain. They don't understand that there's a division between North America and Canada. That's a nanoparticle's personality. Yes.
Yes, you, the understanding I had, they were going to put a railhead in New Milford, a rail yard there.
That's right.
And they're only going to truck it from New Milford to Gibson.
Right.
And the waste was going back from Gibson to the rail yard.
Right.
So they were not going to be all over on every which way road. They only had a designated area to go to, right? They weren't coming up 81 or anything like that.
So
Yes.
Is that the way it is?
When they
On his
transfer.
word on that one there, we got a member in Kingsley and everything has barrel going through too, coming out of New Milford and going to Scranton in that area. So we got to worry about the waste.
My name is Pat, and I live a quarter mile where they're planning on putting the incinerator. And I want to thank everybody for coming and supporting us. And my idea is this is Harford Township. We have to build Harford Township, Montrose, New Milford, wherever, I think we have to get together as a county. If we're trying to kick them out of the New Milford area, they're going to try maybe in somebody else's county. So we have to be standing strong together. And I think we have to all sign petitions. And it's not a good thing. Paul said there's 610 graduates. So, and they need jobs. What's he gonna do? Give them jobs with the incinerator? And don't forget, there's consequences. There's birth defects. I mean, this is not a positive thing, okay? And then what can you do for your township? You gotta pass the clean air ordinance. And I just think this is a wonderful thing if we all just, stick together as a community and all the other communities band together. And I think the people that are responsible, our committee people, we need to help them. We need to get information from them. And if they can't do it, we gotta find out who can, where can. So I think the thing is we can't stop. We just have to keep digging, keep going, keep going. And I'm just very pleased. Thank you, everybody. And one more thing, I contacted a realtor, and I was honest with him. He doesn't want to touch me with 10-foot pole. So there goes my investment rate. And I have 2 6-month-old granddaughters. Why don't they want to touch another pad? Because the incinerator is going to be very there.
Yes. We're very
Okay, my name is Felicia Murray. I'm going to try to speak really loud for everybody. I'm dealing directly with Rebecca Rauter, and we have formed a group. Apparently there's like 3 groups maybe going around against the incinerator. Because this is all so new, and it's the first time everybody's been dealing with this, we're all going to try to get together as one coagulant unit, but that hasn't been around to come yet. As far as New Milford and Kingsley, about the railroad, that's not a definite. There is talk of the New Milford Railroad, but we've also heard through the grapevine that it could be Kingsley. A lot of information has been withheld from us. That's why we're forming these groups. People have to be patient and work with us. I try to call everybody on the lists that we make that come to these meetings. We're getting people coming to talk to you in other forums. We're going to have an open forum August 16th. It's going to be at the Blue Ridge High School. And that is the professor, Paul Connett, which is really someone that we want to hear from.
I have a question to ask you.
Oh, yeah.
What about the townspeople in New Milford? All the
Okay,
politicians?
right now, with New Milford, because I live in the borough, and I have been making very many phone calls. That's what I do. I sit on the phone every day and contact people. I contacted all of the Flying J's area, let them know about it. I recently contacted the Mormon branch that was up on 171. I told their, he's a president. He said he cannot get involved with the church, but he's certainly going to let the people that go to church there know what's going to be coming up. Maybe. I'm trying to contact every municipality in Susquehanna County. It just takes time. We're trying our fastest. This is snowballing, which is a very good thing that it's snowballing. The more people we have, the better it's going to be for us. But I am contacting everyone. I even wrote a letter to Ellen DeGeneres. I don't even care. I don't care who I have to contact. I didn't move up to New Milford to have an incinerator in my backyard. So, I just wanted to...
Yes.
We have a question. I've heard these things are expensive to build, they're expensive to operate, it's a dying industry, they're banned all over. This is supposed to be a for-profit enterprise?
Yes.
So what is the rationale for building one of these in the first place?
Money.
Yeah, but how do you make money when it's expensive?
The rationale is.
I'd like to say something for just a minute. Some of you know who I am. My name's Conrad. I'm one of the supervisors. Yesterday, I met with Jack Conroy, his secretary, just to pick his brain to find out what he knew, get some information. We talked between each other about our personal opinions and the situation we were in with being township supervisors. I don't envy that man's job whatsoever. Mine's easy compared to his. All I have to just kind of sit back and see what he does, but his job is horrible. But the situation is, and this is what I was told yesterday, take it for what it's worth, that the incinerator they plan on building is an industrial incinerator. In other words, from what I gather, no medical waste, no general trash. It'll be industrial waste, which you can figure out what all that entails. But that's what I was told yesterday, okay? Now, I think it was you from Gibson said they had a clean air ordinance.
Yes, they do.
The ordinance is no good. They know that. They gave me a copy of it yesterday. It was written incorrectly. The fines are too high to the legalities of a township. And that the air quality was set so high that the compressor stations can't match it. So the EPA will kick it out. So they're going to get another one done. The first sample is a no-go. They've got to write it again and change it, because you have to write a sample, see what's wrong with it, and write another one. That's what I know, so just so everyone has that baseline information. But I was told yesterday that this is an industrial incinerator, not general, everybody's trash, and not, I suppose it's probably still classified as hazard. That would be my best guess, but I don't quite know that yet. I haven't studied that part yet. This is one thing I did learn. I've spent probably 200-300 hours studying these things since I heard about it, staring at night at a computer screen. The best studies that you can find, the Japanese have done. The Japanese are looking at these things hard. The Japanese recycle everything, but at some point, you've got something you have to get rid of. And the Japanese problem with almost every one of these things is the flash point of mercury and the fact the wind blows out over the Pacific. And apparently, from what I gather, mercury flashes in that second burner stage where it goes to 1,520 degrees, which supposedly takes care of the dioxins and the furans. That mercury at that point flashes, and it's gone. Nothing catches it. That's some of your microparticles or whatever you were talking about at that point.
And how do we know what they're bringing in?
And mercury is, well,
You're at
this,
their
you don't know. But the point I'm making here is that if you get online, and what I typed in, and it took me hours to come across all this stuff, if you type in hazardous waste incinerators and click it, you'll open Pandora's box to all kinds of stuff. And in there, you'll find where most of the studies you'll find other countries have put these things in. Some of them had fantastic luck, others had really bad time with them, and all this stuff is told. There's one thing that shows you, it's got a million pages to it. It takes you all the way from a match burning to the most high-tech incinerator, which right now is called I can't think of the term now. It's a tumbler, okay? It tumbles as it goes down through the furnace. So you've got static, you've got moving grade, and you got this rotary kiln. It's supposedly the highest grade thing there is. And this is what the Japanese are looking at, but they still have the mercury and shit.
So why are they coming up here to the country? I am a city person. I grew up in Connecticut, close to New York.
Well, I can't answer that question. I'm just telling you what I know.
And I want to tell you something. They have restrictions on all the incinerators in the cities. And it's smog, and it's disgusting.
The first thing we want to do is get help New Milford get the ordinance passed. And maybe Jamie can give us some details.
I'm not going to give any opinion about New Milford's ordinance. I haven't seen it.
Just ordinances. How does an ordinance? How do you go about?
How do you pass
Well, my understanding is it's being reviewed by their solicitor.
Okay, and then you have to.
Then it has to be advertised.
And
then it has to be voted for in an open.
Who votes on it?
Well, the New Milford people.
Pardon me?
Who votes on it?
The supervisors.
Not the people?
Why can't the people in the
No,
township be part of it?
the township government, you elect your representatives they pass the laws. That's the system that's been in place in Pennsylvania since the founding.
You didn't get an answer to your, full answer to your question. What's the rationale for building an incinerator? Money. These people are looking to earn tremendous profits from the burning of industrial and hazardous waste. And they will charge enough to their customers to make it pay. You know, in spite of what obstacles they have to overcome, if they can do that, they will then be charging. And I think, now this is not related, but the last I heard for the disposal of low-level nuclear waste was $200 per cubic foot. And it may end up in a similar fashion here, that in order to burn your hazardous industrial waste, it's going to cost you X number of dollars per cubic foot of material or per ton, and they'll make money doing it. And we'll pay the price.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Jane Mack. I'm from Brooklyn Township, but I was originally born and raised in Milford Township.
Can't hear you.
Answer your question as to why I'm opposed to it. In the township, Middletown Township, where I was raised, a landfill was built. This landfill was permitted by DEP, who is to protect us, which I want you all to know, do not contend with that. That landfill went in, it was only to be household garbage. That's what it was permitted for. That is not what we need in that landfill. After some time, barrels and barrels were buried with crossbones on the barrels. So obviously it was very hazardous waste. DEP was informed of this. DEP did nothing. My parents had hauled water for 35 years. It was polluted. Before that, I was still in high school. And we had a recording system. It eventually got beyond the recording system, and we did not have any water. Thus, it ruined the value of our property, which I am afraid this incinerator, which is a much huger scale than that was, will ruin the value of our property in this area. There will be no tourist interest in this area. And I think it's our moral duty to leave the air, the water, and the land as good as it was for us, for our grandchildren. And I think everybody needs to think about that. And, you know, we raise these cows, so we know what we're eating. I don't know that I want my cows. We're hunters. I won't eat the deer, the turkey, whatever that has this falling out. So that is why I'm opposed.
Like I said, my name is Felicia Murray. I'm working directly with Rebecca Router. New Milford is going to try everything that they can. We're trying to have New Milford stop the permits on the roads that they want to build to get to this incinerator. Any which way that we can find, we are going to try and attack. And she's perfectly right. Your land is, or your houses are going to be worth nothing.
Okay,
Nothing.
let's not get fear-mongering.
If the
into
incinerator
this.
goes through.
Okay, what, as a community, as this group of people here who have gathered, what can we do to help New Milford?
The only thing that we can do is stand together. We're going to have a lot of information written on our Facebook page. We find that's the fastest way to contact everybody. I know a lot of senior citizens don't have Facebook, but if you have Facebook, get the information and give it to the people that don't have Facebook. Let the words be known that we are trying to work our hardest and our fastest to stop this. And that's what we want. We want it stopped. We don't even want to go into permits. We don't want to go have the roads done. No, we want this stopped in its tracks.
Okay.
And
Gentleman from James, his first comment was, your supervisors have to stand aside from all this and just up to. I think you could do more than that and at least formally encourage New Milford to do what they can to stop it. I think that would be cool. That's one way to look at it. All the encouragement from the other towns surely would be helpful.
I just, let me introduce myself. I'm Elliot Ross. I'm a supervisor in Harrod Township, and I became a little concerned when I read a newspaper item in the Scranton paper about a month or so ago, and I thought, geez, an incinerator up in Gibson. I wonder how far that stuff's going to go, and I wonder how clean that will be. And you know, to me, it just made me start to ask some questions. And there was a meeting in New Milford, so I thought, well, I'm going to go to that meeting and just see what's going on. And I found it was a pretty good information source for me. I did do, as Conrad did, I went online, I've looked at a lot of stuff, and I've come to the conclusion that I'm not in favor of this, but I believe I did give it a pretty good opportunity to sway me, you know, in either case. But my sense is that what we have here in Susquehanna County right now is pretty darn good.
Yes.
And why ruin it, or why take a chance? For what I see is the benefit of a few individuals who don't necessarily have my best interests in heart. They have a financial interest, and I don't disagree with people out trying to make money. But I do think that there are certain businesses. Even Alan Hall said this at the meeting in New Milford. There are good businesses and bad businesses, and he actually, I think he's kind of part of the reason why we're in this situation. But regardless, I am all that against it. I do think that he tended to, he was put on the spot that evening, and he indicated that if it's bad for Susquehanna County, then he's not in favor of it. Now, I don't know what he considers bad, but that's my point. And I just would like to say that this fine particulate matter, the heavy metals, the dioxins, the furans, any other components that might be generated don't go to the New Milford Township line and then stop. They continue to go. There's an impact area, and Harrod Township is part of it, and so that's why I'm concerned. And I have family. I've grown up in this area. I hope my daughter will stay here, but I want it to be a place where her health is something that is critical to me, and I hope that she has an opportunity to stay here and be healthy. Go ahead.
I think every township should have, the supervisors should get together in at least a 50-mile radius. The supervisors of each township should get together and pass the same clean air ordinance on them.
I personally don't see why the county can't pass an ordinance, but that's my.
Because the townships are the strongest form of government.
Yes, I know.
And that cannot be superseded by the county.
Correct.
So
Yes,
the supervisors should
right.
get together.
I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. The fellow in the back, you've had your hand up for a while.
I walked in a little late. I have two questions. Is there anyone here from the county? Susquehanna County has any knowledge?
Well, I mean,
No, this was just called together as a Harford town meeting,
And
basically.
another question is, who makes the final decision of this? Our commissioner?
To the best of my knowledge, the final decision rests with basically the New Milford Township, and it's only if they have any restrictions.
Right.
If the entity can meet all the criteria, and I will agree with the woman who spoke about the lax enforcement of the DEP and the EPA. These are organizations that sometimes they're political appointees and they have agendas, and there's budget deficits, and there are, staffing shortfalls. They don't have time to do everything, and so that's why I think organizations such as, forgive me,
Stop Susquehanna.
okay, well, anyway, that's why a group of people who live in an area need to pay attention to what's going on in the area and draw attention to it.
What's the overall opinion of Alan Hall?
Well, let's not get into that now. We can take care of that at election time. Megan?
The same air ordinance that Milford is trying to propose is the one that's revised and I've talked about this already. If the surrounding townships already passed that same ordinance and then the incinerator was to violate that, we know these parcels don't stay in Milford Township, would that have any potential effect on whether or not they can build it? And it shouldn't have an effect. If surrounding townships have an ordinance against air pollution.
Well, it seems like Ruth may have an answer.
Can I just say, okay, the whole idea, the way we can stop it right now is to get an ordinance that can be passed, and it's a clean air ordinance. And again, in Milford, I heard the problems, that'll be worked on. But the whole idea is to pass a clean air ordinance, because that could put a kibosh right on it right now. But all the other townships could also pass that, so they don't have to go through that same fight. So the whole idea is if you see anything like a petition or something that comes around saying pass the New Milford Clean Air Ordinance, we're gonna start there, because that's the proposed site, and then work from there. But again, no matter what township you're in, this is a community effect, this is a countywide effect. We got to start little by little and let the ball go rolling. So every township can pass their own ordinance, and yes, ma'am, it can be stopped, and that's the way to do it, and thank you very much.
I just wanted to add to that there is an environmental attorney working with New Milford
Correct.
Supervisors. He gave them the wording that New Milford Township has to put in the ordinance, so that the incinerator people cannot meet those standards. And if it's too hot for them or too costly, they will not go there. But with the people involved, you have to look at who the people are that are involved in this incinerator. They have a lot of money. Everybody knows them.
Yep.
I'm not going to say who they are, but it could go to court.
Okay,
They could fight
we're
it,
not there
get
yet,
it
though.
overturned. That's the problem.
Okay, thank you.
He's absolutely correct when he says that all the townships need to pass a clean air ordinance, because they might already have 2 or 3 alternate sites in mind
Correct.
if they can't get this one
Correct.
through New Milford. And the reason they're here, to answer your question, is they hire survey companies to go out and do a demographic survey of the area to find out where they will get the least resistance.
Correct.
And they've already spent a pretty penny. I put a figure on it before and was challenged. A pretty penny on that before they even rolled into this area. And that's the reason they're here.
What Ron just said. He said that.
I have something to say.
Let me step in for a moment.
Okay.
Some 40 years ago, the Southern California Waste Management Board commissioned a study by a think tank. And what they wanted was a list of criteria on how to site a facility. It didn't matter what the facility was. Could have been, hazardous waste dump, municipal garbage, but how to site a facility. And the results came back, and we managed to get a copy of that. And there wasn't a word in there about geology or chemistry. It was all psychology, where you could find a group of people who would be the least resistant to what you want to do to them. And it included rural areas, sparse population, low education levels, low income levels, places where they use the land for industry already, such as ranching and farming and mining, certain ethnic groups, political affiliation. All it is a list of about 20 things. And guess what? We fit a great deal of those. But what they haven't counted on is the fact that there's a number of people that have moved here from already blighted areas that are now part of the fabric of this county. And they don't want to see it become the way it was where they left. And we're here to convince them that this is not a good place for them to come. Thank you.
Okay, I have this paper right here. This whole thing is for the financial burden on New Milford County. So we have on this paper here at NBT Bank for donations, because we're going to have attorney fees.
I'm gonna have to ask you to do it. We're really going far afield now. I thought I made it clear that this is supposed to be informational. Now you're looking for donations to the anti.
I am passing this as information. We need financial support on this. We can't do
fight
this
the
alone. We're not
incinerator.
going to do it. Nobody's going to donate things. We
I understand
need
that.
financial
I understand
support
that.
to advertise, to let people know.
I just want to make it clear again, that Harford Township is not looking for donations to get rid of
No,
an
but we
incinerator.
are.
There may be a group, and you can talk to people afterwards, but they
We
just,
need petitions signed. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from anybody? Yes?
Multiple townships passed the same limit for air quality ordinance, and we have to put a court over it, and they can stand together, the township can stand together, Harford and Milford, right, against the incinerator. We have the same air quality ordinance.
Julie?
I have a question as a Harford Township resident. How do the supervisors want residents to let them know if they are pro or con for this waste incinerator? Do they have a website where they like input from the township residents? Would they like phone calls? I mean, this is about feedback from the Harford Township residents. How do the supervisors propose to get the feedback?
monthly meeting, there's always time for public comment. You're welcome to come and make your comment.
So just at the monthly meeting?
But you have correspondence too, right?
I don't see why there isn't any reason you can pick up the phone and say yay or nay, or help support or not support, which is basically how our democracy is supposed to work.
Is that their strength of numbers?
Yes, yes.
If you don't want to get involved, if you breathe the air, you are involved.
Can our state representative help us?
Make a call.
We should all be
I can only encourage people to call your representatives, call your senators, call your congressmen. I like the person who said she wrote a letter to Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's, whatever it takes.
I'm sorry, key point here is they're right. You can't have a ridiculous air quality ordinance. It has to be a defensible air quality ordinance, because you can guarantee if you have an ordinance.
It's gonna get shot right out of the water.
They're gonna sue you.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, hello, my name is Chris Ford, Harford volunteer, Harford Volunteer Fire Company member and a Harford resident. The question is, do you know, are they, and I'm totally against this as pretty much everyone here is, and I'm just wondering, are they gonna try to offer us like tax breaks or something like that to try to get us to be in favor of this?
That is standard operating procedure for the people that come in and dump on you. They all seem to follow the same pattern. They'll promise jobs, they'll promise monetary awards to the county or to the municipality. But if you take that, you don't want to ever spend a penny of it. Just keep it in the investment and make it grow, because you're going to need every penny of it when you go to clean up.
Why isn't everybody burning up the phones with the state representative? If you have a problem, don't you go to the people that are going to be elected?
Well, a lot of people did not know that this incinerator was in the works or being proposed. So do it.
Yes, oh yes.
It still goes down to the township. It doesn't matter what the legislature does, it's still up to the township to pass the ordinance.
And this is basically what the New Milford people were saying. Local voices, local government, that's our voice, that's our stand, that's our power. So, all the way in the back.
I got here a little bit late, so I just want to try and recap here and make sure I'm understanding this correctly. These guys come in, they have a ton of money to this little podunk town we all love, so a fence here, that they are going to come in and offer whatever they need to the local ordinance, the township supervisors, to get whatever verbiage they need to get this clean air thing, so they can come in and build their big beautiful factory, right? Promising jobs, this and that. And the public has no option to know what all the details are, and the supervisors get to make the decision whether they come in or not. Yep.
Well,
No, I understand what we're trying to do, I'm just trying to get it on their side. It seems to me. That's politics, I hate it. Nobody knows anything about this.
You know-
We're talking about a little tiny town, we're talking about miles and miles and miles around, and nobody has a clue what's happening.
But no plans have been submitted yet, so it's all conjecture at this point. You could pretty much
So
be.
the power that the township supervisors have, they could be scuttled if they want to.
I'm sorry, what?
The power that the township supervisors have could be scuttled if it wants to. Like, no one has to know about this. There could be a little clip in the paper
No, it will.
that says come to the monthly meeting or something?
Yeah, well, I don't know how things are dealt with in New Milford, but typically at the township level, if you don't go to the meeting, you don't know what's going on. There are some municipalities that have a reporter show up at their meeting. We often have one at ours.
But there's no guarantee for all the people that would be affected potentially for thousands of acres.
No, there will have to be a plan submitted, and that plan will go to the county. The county then will review it. So there are a few different avenues to be forewarned or at least given some idea of what's going on.
At this point, do you know if there's any timeline?
No.
Yes, there was a
it's
time, there
mystery.
was a timeline. They mentioned 2018. 2018 that they want to build this. They have their own website they just put up, Tyler Corners Group. You can look it up. And their projected time is 2018. They are in contract on the Shager property. They filed and submitted a contract of sale on the Shager property right behind our meadows at the Gibson Exit. And they've been in contract for several months. So they also met with one of the county commissioners, a whole group of them, and the planning commission director, and they met with him in April. And they discussed they wanted an incinerator, an industrial park, so there's strong interest. Now they're having trouble with the title, so that's holding them up. So the thing is, they're here. And of course, they do not live here. They're from out of the area. And what they should do is put it in their area. So one of the names is Tom Donato. So he's from out of this area, either the Scranton area. Build it near you. Don't come here and build it near us. Build it next to your home, your little mansion, next to your school where your kids go, where your grandchildren attend preschool. Put it over there and then tell us how great it is. But they want to come here and they think they can bulldoze their way through here. So there has things that have been done. And even if it goes to the Planning Commission, if it goes to the county, if it goes to the DEP, you won't know about it for the most part, unless you attend every meeting and watch them like a hawk. And most people are not going to do that. And if they put a little blurb in the newspaper, it's a little thing in the back of the paper, and who the hell usually sees it? Very, very few. So the thing is, what we're doing right now is good to try and prevent it and get people to know these people want to come in. They're very serious. They've been looking at this property since October of last year. Yes, 2015, they've been looking at this property. They're in contract. So they want this property, and we'll see if they can clear the title.
Ma'am, could you introduce yourself? I don't think everyone knows you.
I'm Vera Scroggins, and I'm speaking. And then also I want to say, you've said it several times, this is not a Harford Township project. This is a public meeting. They're renting this space. So you don't have to worry about Harford Township and the supervisors. We're here as a public meeting.
I want to say something as a Harford Township supervisor. The meeting was for the supervisors to get the opinions of the residents. I am not getting any opinions tonight, so please call me at home, come to the meetings, call the township, but I'm not getting my idea of what the meeting was supposed to be tonight.
So
Sue, are you not getting the impression that most people here oppose the
I'm not
incinerator?
hearing,
Do you not get that impression?
hearing from the township residents.
Oh, I'm a township resident and I oppose incinerator.
I'm with them.
No incinerator.
So is that clear enough? Is that clear?
Are there any pros? What's your phone number? Are there any pros?
What you do understand is we have a customer where we wouldn't get a rate to leave it for starters. So I'm glad you're going to be sending them out.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you.
Because we were desperate to get here, and we couldn't have waited for this truck to arrive.
That's unbelievable.
I live half a mile from where that property is, half in Gibson Exit.